No DQ Galaxy, we are live with a recap of AEW Dynamite for October 18th, 2023. Shout out to everybody watching this, whether it's live or on demand. I very much appreciate your viewership and support. This week's Dynamite was in the shadow of Houston, Texas. Main event of the show was the Dynamite Diamond Battle Royal, with the winner facing MJF for the ring on next week's edition of Dynamite. We kicked off the show with the number one contender for the world title, Jay White, going up against Penta. Jay White had the title. Competitive match here. I think predictable. The number one contender is not losing heading into Full Gear. But a good match between these two. You had the Bullet Club Gold out there. They were interfering during the match. Penta tried to take them out. He hit a dive over the top right before the match even got going onto members of Bullet Club Gold, but that did not stop them. That, combined with the shady tactics from Jay White, gave him the upper hand. At one point, White tied Penta's mask into the middle rope. The referee had to help Penta. It was back and forth. They traded chops. White was able to avoid the fear factor. Penta did hit the Made in Japan move, but White kicked out. And then Penta went for the fear factor again, but Bullet Club Gold interfered. Juice Robinson then took a cheap shot with his ring, the one that he got from TJ Maxx. And at this point, White was able to capitalize and pick up the win with the Blade Runner. Like I said, good match, predictable outcome here, no surprises or anything. Now, after the match, Bullet Club Gold cut a promo in the ring, and Jay White said he's the real world champion. He said that MJF still doesn't have a partner for their challenge. He wants to know what's up, what's the deal. And then Juice Robinson vowed to win the Dynamite Diamond Battle Royal in the main event segment. We had MJF interviewed backstage by the remarkable Renee Paquette. MJF said he did not go out there because he does not want to waste his entrance pop for when he comes out to do commentary for the Battle Royal. He said he was praying that Juice would win the Battle Royal, and then the Acclaimed showed up. Once again, Max Caster offering the Acclaim's services to team up with MJF against Bullet Club Gold. MJF said no when Max said that they could team up and then scissor afterwards. Caster said maybe he'll win the Battle Royal and beat MJF, and then MJF will have to put a ring on it. MJF was totally disgusted by this. He walked off, and we'll see what happens with this in just a few moments. We had footage shown of Hikaru Shida winning the AEW Women's title, and there was a little video package, the history between Shida and Emi Sakura, who helped train Shida. They had their match, and this was another match where you know who's winning this one. Shida just won the title, and Sakura is pretty low on the totem pole in AEW, but it was a competitive match. They got a good amount of time, and it actually was not in the 9:15 to 9:13 quarter hour. They did the women's match earlier on in the show for once. Like I said, competitive match. And Shida hit the Falcon Arrow, which Sakura did kick out of, but then Shida was able to hit her knee strike, and she got the 1-2-3 victory. Solid match. Then we had Renee Paquette talking to Adam Copeland about the storyline with Christian Cage. What's the deal with Christian? Copeland brought up how the whole point was to end his career with Christian Cage, but he realized as the day got closer to his debut, Christian was not interested in doing it while he seemed interested at first. Copeland talked about their history and how they entered an essay contest to try to get into wrestling, and Christian did not enter the contest after they both said they would. And Copeland basically said that throughout the years, he tried to open doors for Christian, even when he was a rookie. And he never meant to take away Christian's spotlight in AEW. Copeland then said, and this is like the Undertaker and Kane storyline in a way, he said that he is never going to fight Christian. Also like the Rey Mysterio and Dominic storyline where Rey kept refusing. So I guess that's going to be the direction here where Copeland will not fight his best friend. But of course, you know how this is going to play out. Copeland said that he will be the one to pick up Christian once Luchasaurus and Nick Wayne leave Christian high and dry. More on Nick Wayne, by the way, in a few moments here. We had Wardlow destroying Ryan Nemeth, which is an interesting call. I mean, if you're trying to bring in Nick Nemeth, a.k.a. Dolph Ziggler, one would think that you would not completely bury his brother in a total squash match. I know Ryan Nemeth is basically bottom of the barrel here, but yeah. Wardlow beat him with one power bomb. Poor Ryan Nemeth. Now, afterwards, Tony Schiavone wanted to know what's going on with Wardlow, and Wardlow held up his wrist tape, which said MJF on it. And then Wardlow shoved Tony down to the mat and walked off. So I guess Wardlow's a heel now. This was basically a heel turn since MJF is a babyface now. You know, shoving Tony Schiavone is definitely a heel turn, I think. He's got to change his hair, though. That haircut is not working with his persona, in my opinion. Then we had a backstage interview with Kenny Omega. And Omega said that 2023 has not been his year, but after he gets through Kyle Fletcher and the Don Callis family, maybe he'll go for the World Heavyweight title. And that's when MJF approached Kenny Omega. They've never had a match, by the way. And MJF offered a handshake. They shook hands, and then MJF whispered to him, 13 days, bitch, which is because MJF in 13 days will surpass Omega as the longest reigning AEW world champion of all time. They should really do MJF versus Omega before that record is broken, but I don't think they're going to give it away on free TV. I think it's highly unlikely in all likelihood. I suspect that will be saved for a pay-per-view, maybe Revolution. If MJF gets to 2024 as champion, remember that whole deal. We had a skit with Roderick Strong and Adam Cole. They were making peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, and Strong did not like the crust on it, and Adam Cole made coffee for Strong, but it was hot coffee. Strong did not like it, and Cole finally had enough. He left for his surgery, and then Strong said that maybe he's going to have to start being nice to that scumbag MJF. I will say this. I like that we got multiple people going after MJF now. Like, we don't see that enough, and I really think we should, where there's a lot of people wanting the world title, as they should. You got Kenny Omega now teasing a match, and maybe even Roderick Strong at some point. Samoa Joe says he has unfinished business with MJF. And we got Jay White, of course. Wardlow, I'm liking it. I like the idea that the AEW World Title is the prize that everybody's trying to get. So they should definitely do this stuff more often in every wrestling company, quite frankly. We had Tony Schiavone speaking to the Don Callis family in the ring. Powerhouse Hobbs told a story about 25 years ago when he was a kid, how Chris Jericho blew him off. He's pissed off. He's been holding a grudge ever since. And then Don Callis brought up how Kyle Fletcher screwed the Don Callis family. Kyle Fletcher came into the ring and he said he's going to get the job done. He doesn't need anybody's help. And then Callis said that if Fletcher can beat Kenny Omega, maybe they can discuss an opportunity. We had the match, Kenny Omega versus Kyle Fletcher, with Don Callis on commentary. And this was a very good match between these guys. Another match that I felt the outcome was very obvious. Fletcher's not beating Omega. But good stuff here with these guys. Competitive match. And Fletcher got several near falls on Omega. Brainbuster, Michinoku driver. Omega was able to hit the V trigger, but Fletcher kicked out of it. And Fletcher was able to avoid another V trigger. He put on the Dragon Sleeper. Omega escaped that and then finally got the win with the One-Winged Angel. Don Callis, of course, was very unhappy about this. Lance Archer destroyed a guy. So he's back. I mean, maybe he has been back for a while. If I missed something, it was probably a match on Rampage or something like that. But to my knowledge, this was Lance Archer's first match on Dynamite in quite some time. Maybe somebody can let me know in the chat room when his last Dynamite match was. He was back here, and yeah, he made short work of this guy, which is all fine and dandy, but I mean, it's the same thing as Wardlow. Like, how long until you give up on the guy again? And I already feel like Miro's getting lost in the shuffle. We had an announcement that Swerve Strickland's music is being remixed, and there was a little promo with him and Prince Nana. But Swerve is not happy. He should be celebrating. He's not happy because he's not the TNT champion. And he sent a direct message. He's got some unfinished business with Hangman Adam Page. We then had Tony Schiavone speaking to Sting. And Sting talked about his times going up and down the road with guys like Lex Luger, the Steiner brothers, and Buff Bagwell. He then brought up some of the guys from the previous generation, like Dusty Rhodes and Hulk Hogan. Hogan got booed pretty heavily, and Sting even had to acknowledge it, but said that Hogan did, in fact, teach him something. He brought up Ric Flair. Flair got a pop. And he said he understood why they hung on for so many years. The roar of the crowd, the energy of going out there and performing. Sting brought up his 2015 retirement, how it did not sit right with him. He came to AEW. He had his first match at Revolution. And he said his last match will be at AEW Revolution 2024. So that's about, what, 5 months from now? November, December, January, February, March. Yeah, around 5 months left for Sting, if you want to believe it. But he did say the only thing that's for sure about Sting is that the retirement tour is for sure. So there you have it. Sting is announcing his final match coming up, the Sting Retirement Tour. Who will be his last opponent? Chat room, let me know. And if you're watching this on demand or even live, leave a comment on the YouTube page. Let me know who you think Sting should face in his final match. Let me know, and I'll let you know my thoughts. I'll reply to some of your comments and give you my take on it if I agree or disagree, if I think they would be a good choice or not. Darby Allin seems like an obvious choice. We had Toni Storm's latest movie, which was shown in picture-in-picture. It's a silent movie. They got the old silent movie dialogue cards, and I really wasn't paying attention to it. During the picture-in-picture, I'm trying to keep up on my notes or use the bathroom or get something to eat. So I missed most of it, but yeah, it's basically like a silent movie. They're doing a parody of silent movies, that type of deal. We then had a sit-down interview with Jim Ross talking to Nick Wayne and Nick Wayne's mother. Now, Nick Wayne's mom was shocked. She could not make sense of Nick betraying Darby Allin. Nick said that he was in Darby's shadow and he needs to prove something. He needs to prove himself. And Nick's mom said he could have done it a better way. Nick then said that Christian is a better father than his father ever was. He started to leave with Christian, but Nick's mother got up, started arguing with him, and she slapped him. And Nick responded by saying she's dead to him. And they stormed off. The acting on, the acting on this was something you would see maybe out of a high school play. It was rough, but it was entertaining in a train wreck kind of way. Now, Darby ended up attacking both Christian and Nick Wayne, and they fought out into the arena. Luchasaurus came out there. Sting made the save for Darby, and at some point, Nick Wayne got like a tooth knocked out or something. He was bleeding from the mouth, and Sting tried to put the Scorpion Deathlock on Christian, but Luchasaurus pulled Christian out to safety. So I'm thinking we're going to see some sort of match here with these guys. I don't know if that's going to be Sting's last match necessarily. I mean, we got 5 months, but I could see this happening in the near future. Again, Sting retirement tour, so I could see him doing maybe 3 or 4 matches before he finally calls it a career. We had our main event segment of the evening, which was the Dynamite Diamond Battle Royal. MJF was on commentary. No surprise here. He was talking about all the guys coming for his title. Matt Sydal, for trivia purposes, was the first person eliminated. No surprise. And we had Johnny TV, the former John Morrison. I think Taz might have called him Morrison by mistake. He had like a little 5 seconds of TV time here on Dynamite. He had a little bit of a dance off with Garcia, but before that could get going, Daddy Magic stopped Garcia from dancing. And then MJF came down to ringside and offered money to Dustin Rhodes, who took the money and gave Juice Robinson the Shattered Dreams. But as it turns out, that was not enough to get the job done. Jeff Hardy, who was basically an afterthought in this match. I mean, I said this before, like, it's not AEW's fault. Jeff Hardy screwed up, and I don't blame Tony Khan for not investing in Jeff Hardy, but why even use him in the first place now? Like, he's not even being pushed really to any degree. Like, he's basically just enhancement talent. So Danny Garcia eliminated Jeff Hardy. Hardy just another guy in the match, a total jabroni. And then Daddy Magic stopped the dancing once again. Dustin Rhodes eliminated Daddy Magic, but then Garcia eliminated Dustin and was finally able to do his dance. And, well, Daddy Magic was right. Garcia needed to take it more seriously. Garcia was eliminated, and it was down to, surprise, surprise, Max Caster and Juice Robinson. It went back and forth for a bit, and then Jay White attacked MJF on the stage by the announce table. MJF fought back and actually, for a moment, got his championship back. But then when he went to hit Juice with it, Juice gave him a low blow, or not Juice, Jay White, excuse me. Jay White gave MJF a low blow on the stage, and then back in the ring, Juice Robinson hit Max Caster with his TJ Maxx ring and got the win. No surprise here. Next week, it's Juice Robinson versus MJF in Philadelphia for that Dynamite Diamond ring. And RVD is going to be on the show next week, teaming up with Hook. We got Battle of the Belts and Collision this weekend, but I have prior commitments, so no recap of Collision and Battle of the Belts this weekend. But stay tuned to NoDQ.com for all the latest news coming off of Dynamite. And as far as my letter grade goes, pretty decent show. Not great. Like I said, a lot of these matches, the outcomes were very obvious. No real shocks or surprises. Even the Sting announcement, like I pretty much expected it when they're hyping up Sting addresses the fans. Like, what else is it going to be? Like, he's going to say something about retirement. So no real swerves other than Swerve Strickland. I give it a B-. Not bad, but far from like a top tier Dynamite in my opinion. That's all I got for tonight. Thank you all so much for tuning in. Again, please give this video a thumbs up on YouTube and leave a comment on who should face Sting at Revolution in Sting's final match. Take care, everybody. Enjoy the rest of your week and say yeah to NoDQ.com. Pick up a shirt at NoDQ.com/merch, and I will see you all next time.